I survived 100 days in HYPIXEL SKYBLOCK Ironman Profile. This means we're not going to be able to access areas like Bazaar and Auction House, and we have to get everything by ourselves. Now, if you haven't heard of HYPIXEL SKYBLOCK before, it is a Minecraft server game mode where you can pretty much grind out levels and gather plenty of custom items. Now, it took me a very long time to make this video, so if you could take just a minute to drop a like and subscribe, well, that would help the video a lot. Anyways, let's get it started. So starting out with day 1, which was a little bit all over the place since this is my very first time playing on an Ironman. Well, of course, the first thing came into my mind was to get a lot of unique minions. So naturally what came into mind was mining minions, and of course it was important that we have a right tool for it, so we went ahead and purchased the promising pickaxe from the mine merchant with the wheat we just farmed at the hub. So we went to the gold mine and then ultimately made our way down to the deeper caverns, and one of my goals was obviously to get the elevator floors unlocked, so we made sure that we got that done straight away. And not gonna lie, this was actually pretty spooky down there because those mobs were fairly strong down there at first, especially because they could pretty much one-shot me or two-shot me, so I had to be pretty careful. Anyways, next up I got myself a promising axe and went ahead, got some oak wood, and it was time to get started with getting some new tools, and of course in the meantime, time to time upgrading our minions. Starting out with day 2, it was time to place down our first minions. We left the cobblestone minion as it was and also added a redstone minion, which is pretty important, especially in the beginning because of its collection, and more specifically you can unlock the accessories bag upgrade, in which later we can storage our talismans. So now that the minions are down, it's time to get a rogue sword and get back into the deeper caverns, and I thought that maybe I should try to get myself a lapis armor set so the mining is going to be even better for us. So of course we could get more XP during this mining process, and in the beginning the XP is pretty important so we can make sure that our items are enchanted, and that was pretty difficult to do in the beginning. So for day 3, of course, we were still in the deeper caverns, and I decided to head back to the island to craft more minions. I created a new lapis minion and a coal minion, which I placed down pretty much straight away, and these were also pretty good for the collections because lapis, I thought that maybe I should get myself some grand experience bottles. And also for coal, it's pretty good because the initial fuel that we're going to be using requires quite a bit of coal. Anyways, we went back into the deeper caverns, which was pretty difficult, especially mining emerald because of all the slimes there. And I realized it's time to get my first enchantments. So I headed back into the hub island and started purchasing some items needed for a bookshelf. This also led me to the barn to get some leather, and during the time there I also decided to get a bit of farming done so we can craft yet again more minions. So we managed to make ourselves a little enchanting area on the island, and well, I actually decided to enchant a little bit of the axe and went back down to foraging because it was time to get some oak wood. Now the oak wood is pretty important, especially in the beginning, because you can craft some minion chests so the minions wouldn't get so full every single, like, I don't know, 20 minutes. So yeah, that was the next goal. And this ended up going actually pretty quickly, so we got the small storage chest, put it down next to the minions, and well, day 5 started. And so I decided to actually continue with foraging. So day 5 started, we went back to foraging, and this time I did foraging and started crafting more unique minions. Now this was actually pretty good, and also getting foraging XP is pretty nice because you get some more strength. And well, once we were done with the birch wood, we headed down to spruce and then also down to the jungle. Now it turned out that jungle is definitely one of my favorites, so we're gonna definitely come back to that. For day 6, I realized that, hold on, I can go ahead and visit some island and consume some cake so we can have a little bit of speed, etc, etc, etc. Once that was done, I headed back down to the island and decided to upgrade the jungle minion, which at first I thought I should be having it placed down because of the jungle axe collection, but I actually ended up getting it manually fairly quickly because it's only 5,000 jungle wood. And of course I decided to craft it, and this was the axe that I'm gonna be using whenever we go down to foraging. For day 7, I realized I'm still not wearing any armor whatsoever, so I decided to get myself mushroom armor, and for that we're gonna be needing some red mushrooms. So I went ahead and started collecting it on the farming island, And well, we managed to get ourselves a mushroom set fairly quickly, and once that was done, it was already day 8. But our mission of getting stronger didn't stop there, so we went actually down to Spider's Den and talked to the Grandma Wolf for a free pet. And this pet is actually pretty decent, especially when you're just starting out. So we got that, and well, it was time to try to get the Lapis armor set yet again, because before it was just too hard. I mean, they have 200 HP and I'm only dealing 50 damage. So it was pretty difficult in the beginning, definitely. And then I realized, like, hold on, I think it's not time to get the Lapis armor yet. I think I should go back down to foraging to get a little bit more strength. Now, before actually going to foraging, I got sidetracked, decided to farm a bit of wheat, made myself a farming set, and well, kept mining some more wheat or farming it. And before you knew it, day 9 already started, went back down to the island, and of course crafted more minions. Let me know in the comments down below how many times I said craft more minions or craft minions, because I think I'm saying it way too often. Anyways, I went actually AFK for a bit, took a little break, came back, and well, day 10 I realized my minions are already full. So I decided to actually start collecting them and upgrading them whenever I can. And well, that actually ended up taking quite a bit of time, but then finally we made it to foraging. Now this time I kept foraging only oak wood with the jungle axe, which made it actually a lot easier and faster definitely for us, but I kept on going because the small storage chests were not enough for the minions, so I decided to go for the medium storage, and before you knew it, I already got it unlocked and of course swapped it out with the small storage to medium. Anyways, day 11 started, and well, I actually went down to the weaponsmith to get another sword, which was the undead sword, and I thought that this might be actually better than the rogue sword for us when grinding out. And I also went ahead and decided to do a tiny bit of reforging. I just put like random reforges on it, so we're a tiny bit stronger, and then went back down to the deeper caverns, attempting to get the Lapis armor yet again, and this time we were actually able to two-shot them, so this made things a lot easier, and we actually started getting some armor pieces. For the next day, I actually went to the gold mine, got some iron and gold, so we can actually make yet again more minions. So once that was done, we actually went down back to foraging, and it was already day 14, and we already reached foraging level 15. And while we were also getting the oak wood, we managed to get our second talisman unlocked, which was the wood Affinity Talisman. So of course we went ahead, crafted that, and we already actually made also the farming talisman. Now the reason why I kept getting more oak wood was also so we can get ourselves more enchanted oak wood, because I didn't actually manage to upgrade all my minion chests. So we made sure that all of them are going to be medium size, and to be honest, the medium size definitely helped us out a lot, because often when I came back to my island I was like, oh my god, they're already full again, but with the medium storage chest it actually took them a while to get full. Anyways, for day 15 we went back down to deeper caverns, and this time mining some diamonds, because well, it's time to get ourselves a diamond minion. And while mining them, we actually managed to level up our mining level to level 12 already. And not only that, but we also managed to get ourselves our first rock pet, which you actually get every certain milestone of mining. And here's the first one. So for the following 2 days, I kept mining diamonds so we can attempt to get ourselves a diamond spreading minion upgrade. Next up, day 19 to 21, I was just messing around with minions, which just consumed days. But in short, I was trying to get some more farming minions upgraded so we can have more unique minions crafted. And once all of that was done, I realized, hold on, I don't have a proper storage area. So day 22, I started building or expanding the island. Finally. Now I decided to build this little storage area, and yeah, I definitely suck at building, but this is what I ended up with. Starting out day 23, I headed back down to the deeper caverns to get some more diamonds, because I felt having the diamond minion just doing its work is not gonna be fast enough, and diamond spreading is one of the best minion upgrades that you can be using. So of course, I tried to keep on mining manually, but then of course, as usual, I got a bit sidetracked and well, I started grinding Lapis Zombies, trying to get my hands onto the full Lapis armor set finally. So day 24 and 25, it was full on grind with the Lapis Zombies. And well, during this process, I thought maybe it's finally time to get my hands on some fairy souls, which will hopefully help me pretty much one-shot them, because that would make things way faster. So day 26, this is where things started to actually get pretty difficult. Getting fairy souls without the grappling hook and the pearls or aspect of the end is pretty challenging. So I went ahead and tried to get as many fairy souls as quickly as possible without getting into too much pain. And well, the next day I went back to the ferry and exchanged 25 fairy souls that I managed to get. And of course I knew that it's not enough, so yeah, I went back to get some more. But getting them in the spider's den was pretty much impossible, so I decided to head over to the Blazing Fortress, thinking it's going to be easier, but oh boy, I was wrong. So yeah, I ended up giving up on it and instead started mining glowstone. And the reason why I did that was, you should already know that, minions. So day 28, this is where things started to get more and more interesting, because I discovered that we had a new mayor called Derpy coming to the office, which means it's turbo minions and 50% more skill XP, and this was going to change everything. So I continued my day with grinding out yet again Lapis Zombies in hopes for the full armor set, and then I finally got the final piece. And well, the full armor set was completed, so it definitely took quite a lot of days. But this meant it's time to get the grind going. So day 29, I collected a little bit more fairy souls around the deepened caverns, exchanged them for more HP, strength and defense. The following day I decided to continue getting more combat XP. I tried out at the hub killing zombies, and so I thought maybe it's the best to kill minor zombies and skeletons. However, they were a bit too strong for me. Nevertheless, I attempted to kill them for 2 days. Additionally, from the loot that I was getting during this time, I was able to make my first combat minions, aka skeleton and zombie. And day 32 started out nice and slow. I got a quick reforge for the sword to make myself a bit stronger and kept mining diamonds yet again. And then finally the time had come where I reached 5,000 diamonds mined, and I got the diamond spreading recipe, which meant it's time to get the minions upgraded. By day 33 I had enough diamonds for all the minions, so they finally got the upgrades. Now the next following 4 days, the recording must have been corrupted, and most of this time I had spent in the deeper caverns, I think, getting mining and combat XP. Other than that, I upgraded the enchanting area so we can get all the enchants on the tools and armor, and well, back into non-corrupted world we go. So day 38, I was back at mining and got my next talisman recipe, which was the talisman of coins. Anyways, as the days were going by, well, I realized that we're getting close to day 50 and I still haven't thought properly about the pets, and pets are a pretty good bonus to have. So for this, I decided to actually get myself a chicken minion and began setting up an area for it, because chicken minions, well, they will just fly away otherwise. So I went ahead, set it up, and well, finally we're on track to get some pets. Now day 39, I went back down to the barn, collected some pumpkins and melons, and then I proceeded to grind out the combat level so I can finally get down to the end. To reach the end, we needed combat level of 15, and that didn't actually take too long to reach. By day 40, we managed to get it, and this meant we are ready to enter the end. And well, this is when I realized my goal is to become an Endernon, but that wasn't that easy. Shortly after landing, I noticed that I'm no match to Endermen, and it was a real challenge to kill them while dealing 295 damage. So now I'm looking to deal more damage, and the best solution is to get more talismans. Firstly, we headed back down to the park to get the campfire talisman, and once we reached that, it was already day 41 and season of the jury had begun. I was hoping to complete the chicken race fast enough to get a talisman by the end of it. However, you need to be pretty speedy and I did not manage to get it all the way. But of course we did manage to get ourselves some presents. Now the next talismans were super easy to obtain, and for that we needed some money, and to make some quick money I sold some of my diamonds so I can afford to buy the talismans from the adventurer NPC. So now we have 11 common talismans and 2 uncommon in total, and the next day I went to mine a bit of emeralds and we got the magnetic talisman. The following day I went to the Blaze Fortress and got the potion Affinity talisman from mining netherwort. Now this started to go really smooth, and the next talisman required a recipe by getting Revenant Slayers up. Now this actually ended up being surprisingly easy to kill the level 1 boss. I thought that they would be more difficult at the first stage even, but that was super easy, and I think we killed only 2 or 3 of them and we already leveled it up. And once we got the recipe unlocked, well, I noticed that we actually need a stack of Revenant flesh, which was simply too much, so I left. Now the next day the mayor was going to be Mayor Derpy, hands down the best mayor. But as luck struck, that was actually the day I left on holidays. And well, here we are. After a nice little holidays, it is time to continue the 100-day journey. And firstly, it's time to collect all the minions, which of course are full. And if you're wondering, well, is Mayor Derpy still here? Well, I headed back down to the hub to see who is the mayor. And well, it was Diana. Now this doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, because we managed to get ourselves a griffin pet and the ancestral spade, which meant it's time to begin hunting for some mythological creatures, which to be honest was a bit boring because moving from point A to B in very slow speed is a no thank you. Now the following day I headed over to do some more foraging, and doing it with a jungle axe made things way smoother, and I was aiming to get the Ocelot pet next. By the time I managed to do that, it was already day 49, and I realized we are going to need a lot of enchanted jungle wood, which I don't have. So I headed over to the savannah trees and began making some more unique minions. I spent just a day over there, and the succeeding day I went to the spruce area, in which of course I crafted yet again more minions. So day 51 started out by collecting minions, through which I managed to get a mining level up in fact, and for the rest of the day I went ahead and looked if I'm able to upgrade any other minions, because whenever you are able to upgrade them, I think it's kinda must to do, especially in the beginning. But anyways, once that was done, I went back to do a bit of foraging and leveled it up to 18. But now that we're halfway done, I started to think that maybe it's time to begin farming. However, my intention is not to build a brand new farm, rather using the public island. So on day 23 we went ahead and started farming carrots, and well, we were trying to get our first metal. Now this was fairly difficult as a lot of the carrots were already farmed up, and typically wheat is easier to do on public islands. But what I did was switching in between the lobbies and using Portal Hub. This was I think the best and the fastest, but I'm not exactly sure. So anyways, the next day started out and the results of the contest came in, and we did manage to secure the bronze medal. Once that was done, we headed back over to the Deeper Caverns to work on our combat level. We were grinding both at the Obsidian Sanctuary and Slime Hill. We were there until play 57. And then when I headed back, I decided to sell some stuff for money. The goal was to reach 130,000 coins for a new weapon. Now honestly, getting the 130,000 wasn't that difficult, and we managed to get it pretty quickly, and I think that was also thanks to the minions largely. But anyways, I decided to cash it out, and well, I headed into the park. While I was there, I took a look if the Viking shop is open, and since it was closed, I went ahead and continued chopping down some jungle trees, as I was still trying to save up for the Ocelot pet recipe, which requires 8 stacks of enchanted
jungle wood, which is a lot. But then finally day 58 came around and someone said that they can open up the Viking shop, and that was quite a relief as I did not feel too comfortable with potentially having a chance to lose 65,000 coins, aka 50% of the purse. But anyways, the weapon that we are purchasing is the Raider Axe. This is by far one of the best early game weapons, and additionally we can earn quite a bit of money while grinding out, so this is going to be pretty amazing. Now, obtaining it early on is also good for the kill counter, because if you guys didn't know, it does have a kill counter. The more mobs you kill, the stronger it's going to be getting. But anyways, once we got it, we headed back over to my island where I began enchanting it. The first XP points I spent on getting sharpness, experience, and telekinesis. Now for anybody that's watching this and starting out, experience enchant is super good, and it comes in handy because while you're grinding out the mobs, you can gain XP pretty quickly, and of course use this XP to put on more enchantments. But now the question is, how much damage do we deal now? Well, yes, we are close to 1000 damage, which means that we can finally one-shot mobs in the deeper caverns. Yeah, this definitely took too many days to do that, but hey, we're not here to speedrun. But definitely I should have gotten this weapon earlier on, because this would have speed up our combat grind by a lot. I mean, one-shotting mobs versus two-shotting them, it's a big difference. So anyways, I thought maybe it's a good idea to try out the end again, and at first it seemed pretty promising, but then I realized that we're taking way too much damage, and yeah, that meant that it was time to get back into the old deeper caverns. However, since we managed to get the ender pearls, I was able to reach some fairy soul spots that I couldn't reach before, and well, I headed back down to the ferry and managed to exchange 2 times the fairy souls. Okay, so it's day 59 and I was able to get more fairy souls with few ender pearls that I had, and being scarce on ender pearls was definitely a challenge on its own. But anyways, we managed to exchange the next set of fairy souls, and next up I went to grind out some magma cubes to get yet another unique minion. Now day 60 started out with making a bit of money, and well, I actually ended up purchasing some mob drops from an NPC, which allowed us to quickly upgrade some minions, and I spent all the coins on getting slimes and well, the spider webs. And well, then I decided that we should try out yet again the one and only The End, which was unfortunately quite a fail. Anyways, day 61 came around with Spooky Festival, and this meant we can get our first candies. So I decided to go grind out crypt goals for some additional combat XP. Oh, and we also got our next talisman, which was the better talisman. Anyways, I kept grinding out the crypt goals for the following days and trying to do some revenant bosses. I was there until day 64 when I finally reached combat 14. Now, getting higher combat level means that we can deal quite a bit more damage to mobs, which obviously is going to be useful. And then day 65, it was time to reforge some of our talismans we had gotten, and I decided to put it quite randomly at first since I didn't have that much coins, and any extra bonus crit chance or damage that we can get extra comes in handy. However, I realized that putting these random reforges might not be the best idea, and so I decided to sell some of my enchanted diamonds for some quick money, and that enabled us to be a bit more picky with the reforgers, and I decided to put some unpleasant reforgers on the common and uncommon talismans. Anyways, this actually enabled us to start dealing somewhat decent damage, and that was definitely worth it, and I kept on grinding the crypt goals until a fishing festival came up. So when day 67 came around, I bought myself a fishing rod and began fishing in hopes of getting a shark. This was actually a pretty good time to do it, because getting some fishing XP quickly, well, there isn't any better time than this fishing festival. I was fishing until day 69, and if you haven't already smashed like, I think now's a good time to do it. Anyways, I was fishing until day 71 when Jerry's workshop came around to get yet again more gifts. I then went to sell some of my ores again for some quick money and made nearly 85,000 coins off that, and I decided to grab 40,000 coins to buy myself a wither rod while Jerry's workshop is still around. Now, getting the winter rod is a bit better than just a regular fishing rod, so I thought that was a good substitute.
Now instead of continuing fishing, I felt like it's time to keep grinding my combat level at crypt goals. Now my goal is to do enough damage to grind out in the end properly, and day 72 I finally reached combat 15 and thought to give it a shot in dungeons, which I totally got carried in. Otherwise, I think it would be just quite a bit of a disaster. We started out with the Catacombs entrance level, and I was pretty indecisive which class to play, but I ended up going with Berserker for now, and well, the dungeons was simply hard. Anyways, I continued to do some dungeons, which was yet again very difficult, but the person carrying me was playing tank, so it was somewhat easier. So if you guys are getting carried in dungeons, definitely having a tank class and possibly additional healer would be very beneficial. But to my surprise, I realized I'm not able to reach my class milestones once we actually finished the dungeon run, and I wasn't able to actually open the chest. So we went ahead, tried it again, and this time I was using some of the armor pieces that I got from the dungeons, but it was still quite a fail. I was not strong enough for dungeons quite yet, which means that we're gonna come back sometime soon. So I went ahead and grinded out more crypt goals. Now the dungeon armor pieces that I got, I realized I didn't actually reforge them in the end, and I thought that maybe this might be a pretty decent set to grind out in the end with, but maybe it wasn't. Anyways, I reforged these armor pieces and well, headed back to the end, and I noticed that somebody was actually mining endstone with full inventory, and that enabled me to get some quick endstone for making yet more minions. So I made some more endstone minions and enderman minions and went back to the end to grind out for the one and only Ender armor. Now my goal from that point on was to become an Endernon, and during this time I also started getting some more enchantments like Ender Slayer on my Raider Axe, and once that was on, well, I started dealing quite a bit more damage. I was finally able to do more than 2,000 damage, and the grind started getting easier and easier. I finally managed to get my next piece of armor on day 80, which I then decided to enchant and reforge. Grinding out in the end was definitely getting me a lot of ender pearls, and we also managed to get our first enderman pet during this process, and our damage had now increased to 2,700. Now my goal was to finally one-shot the Enderman, and the grind for Ender Armor became quite a bit of a challenge. But I finally managed to get the Ender Helmet on day 87, and yeah, day 100 is getting very close, and this meant that it's time to speed up getting the final piece of the armor, which were the boots. Now I was getting quite a bit of combat XP killing these Endermen, and with the helmet I was close to 3,000 damage. Anyways, yet another holiday came around, and I came back for day 88, which meant all my minions had gotten full, and I began collecting all the loot, through which I unlocked the Emerald Ring recipe, and this meant that yet another talisman has been added to our collection, and well, it was time to head back into the end to get the Ender Boots, and oh boy, was this a long process. So I got yet another Enderman pet and few other Ender Armor pieces like leggings, helmets, chest plates, but still no boots. So on day 93 I headed back to my island to get my Enderman pet upgraded to up to tier 6, which is definitely quite a bit in the beginning, but I did not expect that getting the boots was going to take this long, but at least we were getting some decent combat XP in this process. Now on day 96, another spooky festival took place, which meant that our grind for candies continued, and finally on day 98, we managed to get our boots. And yes, this was a long process, but I went ahead and got it crafted and reforged it into fierce, and I was excited to head back to the end to see how much damage we're going to deal in our full ender set. And becoming an endernon meant that we started to deal almost 2 times more damage than we had in the beginning, and I reached 3,500 damage, which is 1,000 left to go to one-shot the Enderman. Now once the spooky festival came to an end, we went ahead and bought our next talismans with the candy that we got. Now to deal 1000 more damage, I thought maybe doing foraging will get us there fairly quickly, so I began foraging jungle wood because I'm still hoping to craft an ocelot pet one day, you know? It's gonna be a lot of enchanted jungle wood that we're gonna need. But anyways, day 100 came around and I wanted to see how much damage are we finally dealing. And well, in the end, we're dealing 3600 damage, and to our luck, next spooky festival had begun, which meant that I can get more talismans with the candy, and well, I kept on grinding the Enderman. So there we go, we have survived 100 days on a HYPIXEL SKYBLOCK Ironman Profile. This was a very long process, and if you're wondering, well, what is my skill levels? Well, here they are. Now, this was definitely a lengthy process, but if you want to see part 2, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching till the end. You are a legend. Bye.